These are the three books that changed the way that I look at happiness and life in general. The first one is Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. So, if you don't know who Viktor Frankl is, he is a psychiatrist who lived in 20th century, and he was taken out in the concentration camps by the Nazis. And while he experienced all the atrocities that someone can look at in the concentration camps, he started to lose humanity. He started to lose hope. He started to lose all of who he was. He was losing his sense of self. He was losing friends. He was losing empathy. And in this book, he described not only the things that he saw, the things that he had to witness and he had to do, but also how his mental state declined only during this period. And what's interesting is that after this experience, he was able to elaborate logotherapy. Logotherapy is a form of psychotherapy which involves the search for personal meaning and a coherent internal narrative inside someone else's mind. So reading it is not easy because it describes very gut-wrenching stories. It describes his internal state in a way that is very precise. You can see how Viktor Frankl was deeply aware of how he was feeling on the inside, but also it's very real and crude, okay? I don't know how to describe it. And reading it, it's a very strong experience, but it makes you understand that if Viktor Frankl was able to find meaning in his suffering and be able to withstand the horrors that he witnessed, probably also us, whatever you're facing, it's likely not as challenging as looking other people basically losing their humanity in concentration camps. So what it made me understand by reading this book is if he was able to survive a disorder, if he was able to shape a coherent narrative about what was going on in his life, if he was able to find hope into this horrendous condition, why can't I, while I'm healthy, I'm well fed, I live in a place, I live actually in a house, why can't I do that as well? It helps you to put a lot of things into perspective. And I believe that everyone should read this book to really understand what it means to suffer, and that your suffering as well can be transformed into something more productive. The second book that I would like to talk to you about, it's similar, and it's A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovic. Actually, this version is pretty old, and there are three stories of Alexander Solzhenitsyn, but I want to talk about A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovic. For you who don't know, Alexander Solzhenitsyn was someone who was imprisoned inside a gulag, and he was passing his life there. And someone says that Solzhenitsyn has exaggerated in propaganda. Okay, there is someone who says, "Oh, Solzhenitsyn that hasn't really experienced all of this stuff. He made it up because the Americans paid them." My father is Russian. He was born in Soviet Union. He said that Solzhenitsyn is actually pumping all of this up. But even if that is so, I would still like to tell you about A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovic because it's still a very powerful story. A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovic is the story of a gulag prisoner who is waking up, and it's one of the worst days that you can imagine, okay? He wakes up, he's ill, he got like fever, high fever, but even though he has high fever, he was pushed to go work, to the forced work labors anyway, in Siberia. He was forced to go out there with fever in the cold of the Siberia, with not even being equipped efficiently, and he was forced to work in this construction site by the Soviet government, a government who despised him, a government that imprisoned him against his will, and he has to work a useless job for this fucking government. Okay, it's the worst situation on an existential level that you can imagine, all right? And there is the scene which is described in the book of Ivan Denisovic, who is building this wall of bricks. He's in this construction site with Soviet soldiers that are pointing guns at him while he's doing this this wall of bricks. And the way that he is described, despite all of these bad conditions, Ivan Denisovic is able to find joy inside his work. Basically, what happens is that Ivan Denisovic starts to put one brick after the other, and he starts to doing that with a precise focus and concentration that he is so obsessed and absorbed into the activity that he is not thinking about the awful condition that he finds himself in. I know that it's not easy to understand what I'm saying, but in the book it's very well described. He basically loses himself in the work so much, he's so absorbed into the activity that he was doing, that when he gets called by the guards to go back to the camp, he's almost sad. He would like to work more. He would like to keep going to build this fucking brick of walls, this wall of bricks that he's building. He don't want to stop working. And what it made me realize, I read this book kind of, I believe, 4 years ago while I was in university, but I thought about it when I was working inside a retirement home, and I didn't like the job, okay? I didn't like it. I don't really enjoy the job, but I thought, fuck man, but if Ivan Denisovic was able to find joy inside that work, inside that task, why can't I find joy inside my job? Even though it's not the best job it's not the best job that I can imagine, but I can still find joy inside this activity. And so that was really powerful for me. It made me understand this book, and also Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, made me understand that in the end, happiness and well-being in your life, it's all about your perception and personal view of things. It's not that much about external conditions. External conditions are cool, are okay, but there are people who have yacht, who have big villas and all of that shit, and are still miserable, still don't have joy in their life. And there are people like Viktor Frankl or Alexander Solzhenitsyn that are able to control their mind and are able to find joy even in the worst conditions known to man. And this is really powerful. You should absolutely read it. The third book, it's not a story, it's about a non-fiction book, which is Flow, The Psychology of Optimal Experience of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. And this is it's very well written, it's very easy to read, it's very beautiful. I read it in I believe 3 days, something like that, because it's really well written. It's really fun to read, it's really enjoyable, and what basically the book says, in what's like 400 pages, 400 and something like that pages, it put all the work of the psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who recently sadly died, about flow science. What is flow science? Basically, what Csikszentmihalyi understood is that it's not the lazy activity, it's not about relaxation. Life is not about relaxation. Life is not about losing as much time as possible. Life is about finding challenges and overcome those challenges. Okay? He made a lot of experiments when he asked people, he gave people like a cell phone, something like that, and that cell phone rang at random times during the day, and people should report on a questionnaire what they were doing, at what time they were doing, and what was their level of satisfaction during the day. And what he found out is that the real happiness, people find to be happier at their best when they were concentrated and absorbed inside an activity that was meaningful for them. So what I'm saying here is that it's not relaxation, watching TV, scrolling, it's not losing time, it's not wasting time that make you satisfied, make you happy. It's about challenging yourself. It's about trying to record a video while you're not even able to speak in a precise language, like what I'm doing right now. It's about trying to find out new ways to understand who you truly are. It's about go do a heavy physical activity. It's about overcoming resistance, similar to Nietzsche's will to power. It's very similar to will to power from Friedrich Nietzsche. But what Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi says basically is that if you are able to control your consciousness, you're able to control your state of well-being. And this is also what Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning and A Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovic are telling us. If you look at the description of what Ivan Denisovic is experiencing when he's building that wall of bricks, it's flow. It's a flow experience. And he was able to find a flow experience while he was in a gulag. If he was able to do that, you can do that as well. So these were the 3 books that changed my view on happiness and life in general. If you appreciated this video, please let me know what you think about it, and if you would like to have more personalized advice about flow psychology, about whatever topic that I talk about in this channel, you can book a one-on-one call with me with a link in the description. Thank you for watching. Remember to aim upward as always.